And here we are. Another episode of That Rocks is on the air. Welcome, everybody. Eddie Trunk here, along with Don Jameson and Jim Florentine, getting together with you guys every week to talk rock and bring you great guests. Glad to have everybody on board. To all our American viewers, I hope you all had a great 4th of July. Everybody else out there, thank you for joining us and subscribing. And we are excited today because we're going to be talking some rock music with a guy who is basically a rock music historian and a guy that we, all three of us know very, very well and are not only fans of his music, but we've also done stuff with him on past TV shows, past radio shows, past podcasts. He's always a lot of fun to talk to. Everybody's Uncle Ted. Ted Nugent is our guest joining us today. Jim, what's going on, man? How are you? You psyched for Nugent?
I'm always psyched for Nugent, yeah. He's going to be shot out of a cannon like usual. I just saw that footage. He went on stage with Night Ranger. I think it was last night in Michigan, and did a damn Yankee song, and then did Cat Scratch Fever. So we'll talk to him about that. But yeah, I'm excited, man. He's going to be great. He's always a great guest.
He is. And I mean, just to tell everybody right up front here, we talk music with Nugent, just like we talk about all our guests. We talk music. I mean, I know we're well aware that some people are polarizing figures, no matter which way you land. And, I'm a firm believer in free speech, and everybody should have their right to say their opinions. But we're all music fans. This is a music show. And we pride ourselves on talking about rock music. So if you think, we're going to get into other stuff, it's, as far as we're concerned, we're all about music, and that's what we're going to do. Right, Don?
Well, listen, I mean, 55 years ago, he had a #1 song with the Amboy Dukes. So I think there's enough of a career to talk about, 55 years. We're probably closer to 60 now that he's been in the music business. So, yeah, I think we'll have plenty to talk about there. And a couple of tours I actually want to mention that are rolling through New York in our area that we won't get to because we're doing this, but are worth mentioning if they come to your town, which is LA Guns is out supporting their newest album, which is really good, Black Diamonds. And our buddy Chips Enough and his band Enough's Enough is out with the Choir Boys. So they're on the East Coast now, and they got a bunch of dates on the books. So won't be able to see either of them tonight, but hopefully you guys will get to catch them near you.
And there's a third band on that bill too called Bad Marriage, which just had Tommy Skeoch, formerly of Tesla, an original member of Tesla, just joined that band. So that's the 3-band package that's out there. So everybody check that out. Some good tours. Good to keep an eye. Like the shows Don mentioned, more of the club stuff, but that's fun. A lot more affordable, and I think a lot more fun.
Yeah, like Tom Kiefer and Winger just came out, and John Corabi just did a whole run around the East Coast. They're still out on tour. So, hey, one thing I want to mention real quick. We're getting a lot of messages about how to join the club membership. So we do an after show, basically. It's like a wrap-up show. We do an extra 20 to 30 minutes, but people don't know how to join it. So, Joe, could you just pop on the screen real quick and just show them? Because I don't even know how to do it. I'm an idiot. I have no clue.
I don't either.
Yeah,
so below the video you're watching right now, there's a button that says join.
Right.
And if you click that join button, it's going to open up this window that gives you the chance to select between tier 1 and tier 2. And it tells you what you get with the different tiers, like access to our Discord. And all you have to do is click the join button. And like I have my payment method saved in here because I use Google Pay a lot. So it's real simple if you do that to just click the buy button and boom, you're done. If not, it's just like ordering anything else. Just put your information in and join up.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, because a lot of people are asking, that's the place where you can ask us questions. We'll pop them on the screen. We'll mess around with you guys. It's a lot of fun, the after show. So there you go. Yeah, now I know how to do it.
Yeah, and you got 2 tiers that you can go with. So I'm not sure what's on either one, but it's listed there, right? And I think our OnlyFans is on there. So.
All right. Well, thank you to those who are members, and thank you to those who will become members, and thank you to everybody for subscribing and watching. Speaking of shows, this past weekend I hosted a show on Sunday in Corning, California. It was Great White, Slaughter, Quiet Riot, Vixen. A lot of fun, good turnout, good to see everybody. A lot of great rock fans there. All 4 bands played totally live, which I appreciate and respect. So it was really a really good night. So that was a good bill too.
Who
That's not a
headlines?
tour.
Who
That's not a
headlines?
tour.
that?
That was just at a casino. The
Eddie.
order was Vixen started, then it went to Quiet Riot, then it went to Slaughter, and then Great White closed. And it was like, I'm in Vegas right now, and it's obviously hot, but in Northern California it was crazy hot. So they don't start till like 7:30, 8 o'clock when the sun goes down because it was outside. And everybody only played like 40-minute sets. So everybody came out, did all their big hits, got on and off the stage, and then just kept it moving. So it was kind of cool. Everybody's wrapped up by like 11 o'clock back in the casino, drinking and hanging, and a lot of fun. So that was a good thing that I had to do this weekend, and met a lot of people that watched this show. A lot of people asking about the old show. A lot of people asking about us. So it was good.
So who's drumming for Slaughter now?
Oh, actually, if you go to my Instagram, I actually put up a video of this guy's solo from the other night. He's amazing. He's a younger guy named Jordan Kanata, and he's from New York, and he played in Adrenaline Mob at one point. He was in the band when they had that horrific accident that took David Z's life and others. And but he's a phenomenal drummer. So yeah, he's in there now. Sometimes Blas Elias will get up and do a show with them from time to time. Sometimes Will Hunt will do a show. It's kind of a bit of a revolving door, but between those 3, but it's mostly been Jordan lately.
Okay.
But all the bands were real good. Great White's got this new, really young kid singing for him. I think his name is Brett. I just met him briefly, but he's doing a good job. He was on the Monsters Cruise. I saw him there for the first time. So he's in there now. And Vixen has a new song and a new video coming. I've had a chance to see and hear that. That'll be released soon. And Quiet Riot, Jizzy's just great in that band. Our buddy, how am I spacing on his name?
Rudy Sarzo.
No, on drums. Johnny playing drums. Johnny Kelly from Type O. And here's the funny thing about their set. So during Quiet Riot set, they played a little bit of Crazy Train, the connection being Rudy. They all of a sudden went into Black Number 1 by Type O for the first time.
Really?
And everyone's like, what is this? Quiet Riot's playing Type O. What's the connection? The connection is Johnny Kelly, who's also great, is a great fit for that band, and he was in Type O, so it's a little nod to his old band too. I thought that was really cool.
Nice.
Handpicked by Frankie, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, and he plays the Frankie stuff perfectly. I want a few other things at the top here as far as news is concerned I want to mention real quick. So yesterday, of course, here in the U.S., 4th of July, I'm in Vegas, and there's fireworks everywhere, but they announced they were doing something here that was a once-in-a-lifetime thing. I don't know how many people are aware of this, but there is a venue that's opening here in September called The Sphere. And it is like a gigantic globe that is just dropped off the strip. It is insane looking, even if it's not lit up. And I'm not spending a ton of time on it, but if you've read about this thing, U2 is opening it. They're going to do like 20 shows. It holds 18,000 people. It's got the most advanced sound and visuals all around you because it's like a giant golf ball. But the outside of it lights up as well. And last night they lit it for the first time. And these are my photos. I went out on the sidewalk and I took these photos when they did it.
Wow.
I mean, these just a few of them. That thing, like you can see, that's a parking garage in front of there. So scope for how big it is mind blowing what this thing can do. And that's just the outside. So imagine what's going to go on the inside with those visuals and sound that goes all around you. There's nothing like it in the world. It's the first one of its kind. Yeah, this is when they introduced it, and it comes around and it says "Hello World." But people were gathered out there watching this thing, and it was like from another planet. And my buddy Scotty, who was with me, was so stoned watching it that he had to turn away. It was tripping him out. He goes, "I can't look at it. It's too intense. It's freaking me out." I saw him walking the sidewalk the other way. I'm like, "What's going on?" He goes, I can't process this. I can't take it."
So, Eddie, is the seating inside going to be just like a regular arena?
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of people think because it's this globe that a lot of people think it's going to be in the round. It's not. It's going to be regular seating with the stage at one end, but you're immersed in the whole sound and video, like all those visuals. So most of the bands that are going to go in there are bands that could sell it out on multiple nights and fill that place on, because you're not going to do all those visuals and mixing that audio for like one show, I don't think. But they're obviously going to do movies and probably EDM and dance stuff in there. Again, it's the first of its kind in the world, and a lot of people think it's going to be like the new thing across the world. Problem is, the thing is $1 billion over budget already, so it's extraordinarily expensive. So I don't know how quick are going to get built, but if it does well, you're going to see these things all over the world.
All right.
So is the visual inside, is it like submersive 360? Is that the idea?
Yeah, I mean, I've not been in it yet. If you go on YouTube, there's a video of Bono and the Edge from U2 going in it for the first time, but you can't really see too much. But yeah, the whole idea is all that whatever the band is builds these visuals that will just kind of consume you and be around you. And the sound, all the seats will have speakers. It's like total surround experience. So it's wild, man. But to see it light up last night was just so cool. And I'm psyched. I could take it or leave it with U2. I'm glad it's a rock band that's opening it. That's cool. But I'm more interested in the building and seeing how they build it out.
Yeah, that should be good.
Yeah. And one other thing, too, as far as news is concerned, I was telling you guys about this before we started. There's a new documentary that I've had a chance to see in advance of, because I worked on it behind the scenes. And it's called I Want to Rock, the 80s Metal Dream. And it's coming to Paramount Plus on July 18th. And it's an 80s rock documentary. It's really well done. But it also, the thing that's unique about it is it focuses on a few artists and their stories. And some of those artists are not people you'd immediately think. The featured people are John Corabi, Janet Gardner of Vixen, Snake Sabo of Skid Row, a woman named Vicky Hamilton, who was the first manager of Poison, Motley Crue, and Guns N' Roses. And it's their stories. And Kip Winger, his story about how he started, how he fought to get a record deal, all this success, then the backlash, the Beavis and Butthead stuff, him going into classical music. Janet Gardner's story was she left music, became a dental hygienist. It's completely like all of their stories, like warts and all, the ups and the downs. And it's really, really cool. And it's coming out, like I said, the first part, July 18th, 3 parts, an hour long on Paramount Plus.
All right, cool.
Man,
Yeah.
People do not know how to quit their 80s, man. I love hearing all this activity about stuff from the 80s. Obviously we do the Monsters Cruise. You have all these docs about the 80s bands. You've been hosting these 80s concerts, man. So people still love that nostalgia.
Yeah, I mean, it's and that's kind of the theme of this thing is like how it started, the 80s, the rise, where these guys came from, all that crazy success. And then the Nirvana thing, which is a well-known story. The gate comes down, these guys get destroyed. And then who did what and where they're at now. So it's really well done. This isn't like some sort of knockoff, unauthorized thing. Everybody is fully involved in it. All the music is in there. It's really, really good.
All right, I think we should get to our metal six-pack because we got Ted coming at the bottom the half hour at 7:30.
Yep.
About 15 minutes or so. So our metal six-pack this week is the top 6 Ted Nugent songs, which was really tough for me.
Very tough.
I studied
extraordinarily tough.
I studied for this harder than I studied for my SATs, my exams getting into college. I was tossing and turning for 3 nights. All right, so I go first. All right, so I go first. My number 6 is a track off the Scream Dream album, Flesh and Blood. I love it. It's heavy. I thought it was a great comeback album, for Ted. Weekend Warriors, then State of Shock, trying to follow Tub Life Gonzo, and Cat Scratch comes back with Scream Dream. Great stuff on there. Wango Tango. The title track, but Flesh and Blood is a monster track on this album. That's my number 6.
Yep, great deep track there. Well, and I guess, is it me now, Joe?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So I went for his biggest hit at number 6. Just the riff alone, Cat Scratch Fever. I mean, what can you say? That riff is so instantly recognizable. It's Ted's biggest song ever, and it's a song about getting pussy. So you can't go wrong with that.
All right, my number 6 is well, Well, probably about the same subject matter, I would think.
Well, there's a lot of that.
from the same album. And you know, it's pure poetry from Ted. Wang dang, sweet poon tang. The riff in this song just kills me. I love the way it starts, and there's a stop, and then it just goes in and just drives through the whole song. And I remember hearing it as a kid, and I had no idea. I just thought it was a cool song. I had no idea, but it's killer, man. It kicks ass to this day. So that's my number 6.
And the rap in the middle of it and all that.
And the live version on Double Live Gonzo, when he's cursing before it, it's great. Okay, my number 5 is Dunn's number 6, Cat Scratch Fever. What could you say about it? It's a classic, but it's at my number 5.
All right.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're next. All right, good.
Yeah, number 5. Oh, man, he finally put this back into the set. Jim and I saw him last summer, and he put Paralyzed back in.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, right? How high energy is this song, man? And it leads off. It leads off the album. It's just a killer track. It's just a juggernaut. So, yeah, I was psyched to hear him play that live for the first time in forever, and that's my number 5.
Yeah, one of the reasons why I'm glad we're doing this and focusing on these songs is I often think that unfortunately these days Ted is known for so many other things than music, unfortunately. And people forget the catalog this guy has, how huge he was at one point, a stadium act, and how great this stuff still holds up. And I love, that we focus and talk about Ted's music because I think sometimes it gets overlooked. My number 5 is Snakeskin Cowboys.
Yeah.
From the first album. I mean, just the way it starts. I mean, just such a cool riff and just kick-ass song. Love it. So that's my number 5.
My number 4 is probably Ted's favorite song, Fred Bear,
oh, yeah.
off his 1995 release. I didn't discover the song till later. Like in the 90s, I don't know, I was out of it, and then I got back into Ted, and I remember hearing this song. I remember playing on my show on Ozzy's Boneyard on Sirius, and Ted's management got in touch with me. He's like, Ted wants to talk to you about playing that song. I'm like, oh, man, is he mad? And Ted was just going crazy.
I remember that because they contacted me to get your information.
Yeah. I was like,
oh, Jim did something wrong.
I know. I'm like, what did I do? What I say now? But it's a great epic song, Fred Bear, on number 4.
Yeah, that's a good one. And I got some of the reissues and some new releases that his drummer's working on. And one of them's a Fred Bear vinyl EP. So we'll hopefully talk to Ted about that. But yeah, Fred Bear, one of his hunting heroes and mentors. My number 4, Derek St. Holmes singing his ass off on Just What the Doctor Ordered. And I don't know what else to say about that, but hearing that voice for the first time on one of Ted's albums, it blew me away. I didn't even know Ted had another singer when I first started listening to him. And that song, again, just pure energy from beginning to end.
All right, my number 4 is the song Free for All. And I mean, every time I hear this song, it gets me revved up. And I do a segment on my daily Sirius XM show called Free for All Friday. And I used to, for the longest time, would just use that riff to get everybody pumped up to head into the weekend and call in. And it's still just one of my all-time favorite Nugent songs. Again, the groove, the riff, the energy, everything about it, just pure Ted, and I love it. So that's going to be my number 4.
My number 3, I'm going back to the debut album. Speaking of Derek St. Holmes on vocals, the perfect rock song, "Hey Baby," phenomenal. There's nothing else to say. It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
it's probably one of. It's only because of the 2 other picks I have. It should be my number 1 Ted song, "Hey Baby," but I couldn't put it number 1 or 2. But it's at a solid 3.
There you go. My number 3 is Eddie's number 4, "Free for All." I mean, if you can't shake your ass to that song, then you just try another form of music. Like Motorhead said, rock and roll ain't worth the name if it don't make you strut. And "Free for All" definitely does that. It's a party song, and that's my number 3.
My number 3 is Just What the Doctor Ordered. Speaking of Derek St. Holmes and that incredible voice that he still has, by the way, even though he's not in Ted's band anymore, if you've seen him lately, he can still sing like that, which is truly remarkable. But that first album, you had that combination of Ted's vocal, Derek's vocal on some stuff, and just incredible songs, top to bottom. And Just What the Doctor Ordered is one of my favorites. So that's number 3.
My number 2, I'm going to the Double Live Gonzo album, Great White Buffalo. What could you say about this song? It's just unbelievable.
And from Amboy Dukes era, right?
Yeah, and then did it on Double Live Gonzo, and just the live version is just amazing, the whole album. But yeah, so my number 2 is Great White Buffalo.
Yeah, and that was Jim. That's the first Ted song I ever heard was Great White Buffalo, and that's my number 2 as well. So, yeah, hearing the live version for the first time, I'm like, yeah, this is it. I love this guy, and just remember just buying everything instantly after I heard this.
All right, my number 2 is probably Ted's best known song, or it might be, maybe not, tied with my number 1 or 2 is probably his 2 best known songs. It's rare for me that I feel like most bands that I love, their biggest hits are not even close to my favorite songs from them. But with Ted, it's a little different because his biggest songs are, I think, among his best and my favorite songs. And at number 2, the title track to Cat Scratch Fever. I mean, again, one of the most iconic riffs ever, still monstrous to this day. Now, every time I hear it, I think about the time that we had Ted on that metal show, and he insisted on trying to play it during his guitar segment, and he didn't understand the logic that we were unable to have him play it because we couldn't clear publishing and there were legalities. I remember Ted getting so mad at me, like, who the fuck did tell me that I can't play my songs? I'm like, Ted, you don't get it. And every time we told him to not play it, he still started playing it. But of course we wanted to hear it, but it was a network thing. Anyway, Cat Scratch Fever, just monster all-time classic at 2.
And Ted was also saying, he goes, look, I own my music, so give me the paper to sign so I can play it. That was, it was great. I remember that going crazy. And number 1, it's probably all our number 1s if I'm looking at the list, as Stranglehold. Yeah. What could you say about that riff? I mean, you just hear it, just chills. It was just in some movie I just saw recently. And even my son, Luke's like, hey, that's Ted Nugent, right? I'm like, yeah. He goes, I know that song. Yeah, because I used to drill in his head when he was like 5. So Stranglehold, obviously. What could you say about it?
Well, yeah, I think we're gonna make it unanimous, and then Ted is waiting in the wings, as they say. This now is truly easily one of the greatest rock and roll riffs ever, and absolutely one of the best guitar solos in rock and roll, if not the best guitar solo ever in rock and roll. Stranglehold at number 1.
Yeah, it's a clean sweep. Obviously, my number 1 as well. It's the riff. The vocal from Derek St. Holmes, ridiculous. And look, the song, I think, is like 8 minutes long, the album version, and it doesn't feel that way at all. Like, it's so great that you don't feel like, oh my God, this thing's dragging or this thing's going on forever. It's an epic, but there's just nothing that's not great about it. And also, I would point out the Double Live Gonzo version, which you don't hear as much, is more like 11 minutes long, and that is badass too. So across the board, our number 1s are Stranglehold. Hey, before we bring Ted in, because he's a few minutes early, let's do our That Rocks pick real quick so we get everything in.
Okay, all right, yeah, my pick is going to be the new Raven record. Raven, one of the new wave of British heavy metal bands, started out in 1980. Their 15th studio record, All Hell is Breaking Loose, just released last week. Just typical Raven, just solid thrash, just great stuff. Just 10 songs, no filler. It's like 37 minutes, the album. It's perfect. Love those guys.
I saw them recently open for Metallica because Metallica did that Megaforce tribute show that I hosted in Florida, and it was so cool. They put Raven on there and did the Kill 'Em All for One reunion, and it was great seeing those guys. I saw the Gallagher brothers, and they're still awesome. Great people too.
Yeah, so pick it up if you can. It's some great stuff, and there's like 3 singles already released on it. So,
yeah, heard the whole thing myself yesterday. Great pick. Mine is an album that came out last year, but it is their latest album, and it's Amon Amarth, The Great Heathen Army. Well, that's their So they're going to be on tour this summer with Ghost, which is in America, which is a huge tour for Amon Amarth to be out there, and they're playing all the outdoor sheds and arenas with Ghost. So if you get a chance, pick up the Great Heathen Army and get to one of the shows. Very heavy Viking metal, like I said. Very melodic though. Great, great dual guitar playing with those guys. And instead of mosh pits, because they're Vikings, everybody rows. And you have to go see that live to believe it. Everybody sits down on the floor and pretends that they're rowing from side to side while Amon Amarth plays. And their stage production is fantastic. And I don't know if we have the album cover, but The Great Heathen Army.
All right.
All right. And my That Rocks for this week is the new album from Last in Line. The record is called Jericho, and I think it's their third studio record. If you're not familiar with this band was originally formed by the three original members of the Dio band, Jimmy Bain, Vivian Campbell, Vinny Appice. And sadly, shortly after the first album came out, Jimmy Bain passed away, since replaced by Phil Soussan. So now it's half the original Dio band, the surviving members, Vivian and Vinny, and a phenomenal singer, Andrew Freeman. And they started out to just do Dio stuff from the first two albums, and now they've got a great catalog of original music. The latest and newest album, again, is called Jericho. It's out now, and Andrew's voice is incredible. For Vivian, he plays all the guitar. He gets to play a lot more solos than he does in Leppard. It's amazing. Vivian's so committed to this. He'll play stadiums with Def Leppard, and then like literally the next day go play some club for 200 people with these guys. That's how much he loves doing this, and they're great. And the original music is real good, so check it out.
All right, great, man. Let's bring Ted in.
Uncle Ted, we should have some sort of big fanfare for him, I would think. There he is.
You guys love my music, but nowhere near as much as I love my music. I literally got naked and I was humping the tailpipe of my Hellcat just to try to calm down. You guys talking about all my favorite songs. I love you guys more than you love my music.
Ted brings his own fanfare. I love it.
Ted, good to see you, man. So look, all this love for your music, everybody has seen you play live recently. You're still good as ever. Why the hell you ending, man? What do you mean adios? What do you mean adios, mofos?
Hotels are jail. I hate jail. I'm speaking and celebrating this love of music with you guys. And I love you guys. I love people that love music because you always reference the dedication, the passion, the work ethic, the incredible adventure that musicians have to embark upon. And every musician that you love, every band that you love, every song that you love comes from just a monstrosity work ethic. And I have a monstrosity work ethic. Flames come out of my ass. By the way, I've got to say, I got on stage at the Cherry Festival. I was the cherry on top of the festival in Traverse City 2 nights ago. Night Ranger, that's my new favorite band. Those guys are animals. They're all world-class virtuosos. Kelly on the drums, he's as good as any drummer that has ever lived. Brad and Carrie on guitars, Eric the keyboardist, and of course Jack Blades. Somebody's got to throw some barbed wire around that guy's ass. These guys are so dedicated. But to answer your question, Eddie, that was my 6,878th rock out. I count jam sessions and all my concerts. 6,788. 6,788. That goes all the way back to Detroit in 1956. But when I got on stage with Night Ranger and we played Coming of Age, the damn Yankee song, and then we unleashed Cat Scratch Fever, I felt like I was 12 years old with my first fiery hard-on. The music has a life of its own. But I don't know if you can see, I'm in my man cave cuckoo's nest, and there's one of my dogs. All my dogs are in here. And when I get ready to leave, I've been packing my wardrobe with my son Toby today, setting up my guitars. I got all these Birdlands and Les Pauls and Paul Reed Smiths. It's just a supersonic orgy celebration of the music. But when I pack my bags today, my dogs are heartbroken. I mean, they look so sad because they know Dad's getting ready to go away. So I will always play music. The music still has fire. I still crave it. I've got new songs. I'm going to go in the studio with these killer musicians that are always at my side. But traveling, I tell you, a hotel room is jail. I have 1,100 acres of swamps and marsh and a fen and forests and fields and lakes and streams and creeks. I am so alive in my outdoor adventure, and I'm still alive when I get on stage, but the travel and the hotels. And I don't even have to go to TSA. I mean, I gave the finger to them in 2009. If somebody doesn't send a jet, I don't go anywhere. Luckily, my friends are better than your friends because my friends have jets.
Yeah.
So I'm not TSA, and I'm not going to let somebody fondle my Glock and ask me questions about gun laws. And hotels are so painful for me because I look out the window and I go to dinner with the guys and I have friends everywhere, but I so miss my dog. So this tour, like the last 10, I will hub out of our Texas home to play gigs around there. Then I'll hub out of our first start in Florida. So I'll hub out of our condo. Shemaine's got a condo down there so I can go to all those Florida dates. And then I come back to Michigan, go to Ohio and Indiana, and Wisconsin and Illinois and Pennsylvania and Kentucky. And I'm able to hub. So I'm still able to spend a lot of time with my kids and my grandkids and my dogs. But damn, I've got my odometer is spinning furiously.
But Ted, this is an important distinction, though, just for our audience and for us to know. So just for clarity here, you are not retiring from playing live or recording or making music. You're just done with the large scale touring and going out there on the road for a month or two at a time.
Well stated, Eddie. Yes, that's exactly what I've got all these killer songs, Jason and I and Greg, and then I've got this killer bass and drums from Texas, John and Johnny. We get together all the time and we jam. We do these Ted Nugent speakeasies where I just get a hold of some club owner and I go, I'm coming in Friday night. So just make sure you get everybody out of my way. And we'll go in and we'll just jam like animals, like it's the Hullabaloo 1963. A little before your time, gentlemen. But no, the fire, the music, it will always go on. I play my guitar every day. I'm still fascinated with the uncharted territory on that Birdland neck. And I get to collaborate with the best musicians in the world. So it's always a challenge. It's always intriguing. It's always stimulating. I'm an old man. I'm 75 this year, but the stimuli factor, I hope that somebody else in this world is as stimulated by the music as I am, because it's still very much alive and well.
You're not going to miss the audience, the live interaction on stage.
Yes, of course I will. Yeah, but again, I won't miss it because I'll still do it. I just won't go unorganized. I'm not going out for months or even weeks. I'll do the occasional special events. I do a lot of corporate stuff. And again, we did a corporate gig in Las Vegas with Matt from Guns N' Roses and Robin Zander from Cheap Trick and Jack Blades and Carrie. And I'm telling you, it was just like a 12-year-old Ted getting up and playing Chuck Berry songs. Very intense. We played Rolling Stone songs, damn Yankees songs, a bunch of my songs, Night Ranger songs. We played Street Fighting Man and Last Time, and I knew the songs note for note. So yeah, the music. I'll miss night after night because there's an adrenaline tsunami. But again, yeah, I'm an energized son of a bitch, but I am 75, and
Right.
I'm not swinging from ropes, and I'm not wearing a loincloth, and I'm not jumping off the amplifiers with my new knees. So I will miss it, but again, I got 12 grandkids, and I don't want to go away someday and not make an imprint on them. Teach them about the important things in life in a world that's really gone really stupid. I think my grandparenting responsibilities are more important now than ever.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I mean, that's
Speaking
good. So at
of,
least you're not saying you'll never play again. You're not going to sign a contract and all that crap. So
Can you see that Birdland right there? I mean, look at that bird. That Birdland wants to eat my face. And here's a guitar for the tour. We had a bunch of guys that are coming to the Danger Zone VIP, so we made some Ted Nugent Adios Mofo guitars. So since you like the free-for-all, we can celebrate it eternally. The music is eternal. It's here forever. How lucky are we, huh?
Well, how lucky are you? And you always pay tribute not only to your incredible catalog, but to the incredible musicians who have played in your bands over the years. So, seeing as this is Adios Mofo, the final tour, do we expect to see any former members maybe jumping up, surprising here and there along the way?
Well, I keep in touch with a lot of guys. In fact, my guitar player from the Amboy Dukes, 1965, in Arlington Heights, Illinois, Gary Hicks, he lives down in Florida, and he doesn't play anymore, so he's not going to get up on stage with me. But I meet up with these guys. KJ Knight, who was on the Survival of the Fittest album, some Amboy Dukes killer song. Rattle, rattle my snake. All kinds of love songs. So these guys I keep in touch with. Andy Solomon from the Amboy Dukes, from Journey to the Center of Mind, the #1 song in the Midwest for 8 weeks in 1968. I was 19 years old.
Yeah, put that up again, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, what a great song that is. And Andy Solomon's in Austin, Texas. I keep in touch with him. Dave Palmer, with the original drummer on that record. He lives in Detroit. I keep in touch with him. In fact, I keep in touch with Jim Butler and Tom Noel, who were my drummers in the Lourdes, Lourds, when we won the Battle of the Bands in 1962. So I keep in touch. We're a bunch of old men, but we keep in touch because the music is a bond, just like what you guys do. That's why I love you guys. The music is the eternal, most powerful bond this side of sex and family and work ethic and being the best that you can be, but the music is the soundtrack for all those important things.
Yeah.
I saw a T-shirt once, Ted. It said, "I might be old, but think of all the cool bands that I saw." That always resonated with me.
Yeah.
And now we're all older, and we can all relate to that. Hey, I want to ask you, going back to Damn Yankees for a second. So now you played, and I agree with you on Night Ranger. They're 40 years in, as good as ever, 100% live. They sing great. I mean, Kelly had a heart attack, and he's still playing drums. Jack just had a little scare. Thank God he's okay. They're amazing, amazing band. But you've now played Damn Yankee song with Jack twice. You did it at the private event you mentioned here in Vegas where I am, and you did it publicly just recently as well. What was it like for you playing a Damn Yankees tune, reconnecting with Jack? And you know the audience is always asking if you'd ever bring Tommy and Michael in and do a show again. Did this maybe grease the wheel a little bit for that?
I would hope so. I don't think so, but as I've told all three of you guys forever, we'd never say never. I mean, I keep in touch with Tommy and Michael and Jack. I mean, we'll always be Damn Yankees, and we all crave getting in a room together. Hopefully it'll be my barn, my cuckoo's nest, because there's more ammo here. We all really have a great craving, because we know when we get together, there's a mystical electricity in the air, because we're all raised by all the black heroes. We all know those original blues and gospel and rhythm and blues songs. So we start jamming, and that's where all this Damn Yankees music comes from. But the funny thing is, I had not played Coming of Age. What was it? The last Damn Yankees tour was 93, wasn't it? I hadn't played Coming of Age. Well, I guess I got up with Styx in Maine one night. That was when anyhow, I got up on stage and played Coming of Age with Styx one night back in 2011, maybe. So I had played it one time, but it's not like I listened to it and practiced it, but I played it. And even Jack's hugged me, said, "That was perfect. It was exactly like the record." Even the guitar solo, I played the guitar solo note for note because it imprints on me. Now, regarding a reunion, again, we're older. We all have kids and grandkids. Tommy tours with Styx like a madman. I mean, Leonard Skinner, do they ever sleep? I mean, Michael Cardelloni, the amount of gigs those guys do, and Jack's on the road all the time. And we all love our band music. Tommy loves playing Styx music, and he has a responsibility to those guys.
Yeah.
And Jack loves Night Ranger, and he has a responsibility to those guys. Michael is a genuine member of the Leonard Skinner team, and he has a responsibility to those guys. I have a hard time because I hunt so much, and I have so many other activities in my life that I don't go out for long tours. That's why Greg Smith will not be touring with me this summer, because he's on a tour with the Turtles, this summer jam they do, and they offered him a 7-month tour. I could only offer him 6 weeks. So with my blessing, You got to do what you got to do. But again, I got Johnny Big from Texas, just an animal bass player monster. So we're tight and we're friends. But when Styx is done Styxing, Tommy doesn't want to go on the road. And when Night Ranger's done touring, Jack would like to stay home with his wife. You know what I mean? So the older you get, I think it has a lot to do with family responsibilities. When you're not out with your given band, it takes parenting, grandparenting, and being a husband. At this stage in our lives, we got to fulfill those responsibilities. And I think that's the driving force. And I know you guys get that.
Hey, Ted, do you ever go, like with your grandkids, you ever go to like their sporting events, like a basketball game or soccer or anything like that?
My son, Jack, Toby's son, my grandson, Jack, Toby's son, at 18 was the Michigan State champion golfer. And all my kids are maniac, like martial arts athletes on the hockey floor. Sasha's boys are all lacrosse maniacs. I mean, really athletic, samurai, dedicated, disciplined. So yeah, and when Rocco was growing up, I went to all of his games. When Toby and Sasha were growing up, I went to all of their games. And it's a proud moment, but man, what a pain in the ass. You drive it all over. But I can handle a pain in the ass because I can handle me because I'm a pain in the ass. So yeah, when the Pistons were winning all those games and the Red Wings were winning all the Stanley Cups, and I don't think the Lions ever won anything, but when all these Detroit teams were winning, I would take my kids to those games and see these super athletes because it's a good lesson for children what dedication and sacrifice is necessary to be the best at any endeavor. And so that's part of parenting. So yeah. It's a big deal to me.
Nice.
Don, you got something or go ahead?
Well, you were mentioning obviously Michael Corleone.
Corleone? What's he in The Godfather now?
Yes, he is.
He is the Godfather. We got
gave him an offer he couldn't refuse.
We got some reissues here and some special edition vinyl. That's right, signed by Ted, Fred Bear EP that Michael plays on when he's not in the Mafia. You got the Ted Nugent Vault vinyl. These are outtakes and rarities, and the Spirit of the Wild,
stuff, isn't it? That's a wild shit, man.
Re-release. So people are worried about not hearing stuff from Ted again. Jason Hartless is working day and night to remaster and find new stuff in the Ted Nugent Vault, which is exciting.
The Vault stuff is great.
I'm talking to you from my barn, and it's got all this equipment. It's got like an acre of stage gear, and then there's cases and vats of tapes and CDs and board mixes. And I'm a hyper guy. I don't know if you've noticed that. But I'm real busy with today, and I'm getting ready for tomorrow. And I'm well aware of the nostalgia and the emotion of my vapor trail and my past work. And I remember everything. I've taken good care of myself, and I remember every gig. I'll meet someone on the street here, and they'll go, "Oh, was it Cal Jam?" And I go, "Yeah, I came out with the Black Bird Land, man, and I jumped off the amps, and I fell down playing Motor City Meadows." I remember that. So Jason, who's a music nut, all my guys are music nuts. I love music nuts, really dedicated guys. And we're going through all the equipment, and he's got all these stacks with all these dates from the 70s and the 80s. And he goes, "What the hell is that?" I go, "I think those are tapes. I think those are recordings that we file here in the Man Cave Cuckoo's Nest." And he went up and started probing, and he goes, "My God, this is gold. This is wild stuff. Can I remaster?" So I get, "Yeah, please. That's a great idea." Because there's some really amazing performances, once again, by Rob Grange and Derek St. Holmes and Cliff Davies and all my Amboy Dukes. They're virtuosos. These were teenage virtuosos. And we've got those tapes, and we captured those magical experimental years of teenagers making music, and then young men making music. And again, the quality of musicians at my side all my life is one of the greatest blessings a musician could ever dream of. And you're always referencing those guys because they deserve it. My music wouldn't be jack shit without those team players. And they put their heart and soul into every song every time we got together. So Jason found those tapes, and now he's listening to them, and he always texts me and plays outtakes from these different demos and unreleased versions. And I go, that's some killer shit, man. Do something. So he's doing. He thinks he's got. This is the vault from Free for All, but he's also got outtakes and demos from the Ted Nugent first solo album, from a bunch of Amboy Dukes albums, from Cat Scratch Fever, from Weekend Warriors, from Double Live Gonzo, outtakes that we didn't use on the live album. So it's really fascinating stuff.
Hey Ted, I'm a CD guy. I'm not on the vinyl kick. Is that stuff on CD too, or just vinyl?
It's only vinyl now. Jason has some vinyl thing that he does. He's got his own business, and there is a resurgence in the depth of sound on vinyl, though I think you can still get it with good headphones on CD or even digital, I suspect. But he's gung-ho on that, and we are dedicated to release all this new stuff on CD as well, and the digital format, which I can't believe I'm on here with you guys. I can't believe I got this little laptop to work where I can actually hear and talk to you guys. So, Toby set it up. I'm not taking credit for it.
Hey,
but, he's the master of that technology. And again, I hear some of these outtakes, and I remember the temperature in the studio. I remember the attitude, what we had for lunch, and it's just a tsunami of emotional memories that are so exciting for me.
Ted, you brought up Free for All. Meatloaf sang in about 5 songs on that record. I always wondered. I know Derek was out of the band when you guys started recording, but then he was back in for the tour. Did you ever consider bringing Meatloaf out to sing those songs on tour, even though he didn't play an instrument?
Well, actually, Derek was still 100% a band member, and
okay.
we were Free for All. But I don't know if I told all you guys. We've done a lot of interviews, but let me tell you the Meatloaf history. When I brought the Amboy Dukes after graduating in Chicago in '67, we did some personnel changes because some of the young guys missed being home. Plus, we didn't make any money. We were sleeping in the van, and that's not for everybody. But I think it makes you strong, and it makes you make really killer music. And so there was an opening act called Stoney and Meatloaf, this beautiful red-haired gal with a voice like Aretha Franklin, just an unbelievable Detroit singer who ended up singing background for Bob Seger years later and had her own solo record, Stoney. I forget her real name because that's all the only name I knew her by. But we hired Stoney and Meatloaf, this big rotund guy with this operatic, soulful rhythm and blues voice, to open the shows. And I was moved by his passion. One of the main indicators to me of meaningful music is if the singer has multiple moments where the forehead veins pop out. I want some crescendos. I want, even during the chorus, I want a crescendo. I'm not waiting for the last verse. And Meatloaf, of course, I thought I was going to flush a mallard from the state. He sweated so much. So Stoney and Meatloaf opened, and when it's time to do Free for All, I remember Street Rats. I don't know how the electric guitar sounds with this technology. It probably sounds horrible. Does this sound?
Oh, it sounds good.
Yeah.
Guitar?
Sounds great.
So I go. I'm old and I still get erections on my arm. And so as I'm pounding out some of these songs, and then Cliff Davies and Rob wrote this song together. And the reason I hired Derek to begin with is because I was singing all the songs as 3-piece Amboy Dukes, but I'm writing these songs that I can growl out and I can scream out, and nobody else can sing Wango Tango or Motor City Madhouse. But when I wrote Stranglehold, I don't really write it. I just kind of formulate this thing. And I knew that Derek's voice would be perfect. Well, I knew that Meatloaf's voice would be perfect. And why not? Why not reach out? So I called Meatloaf, and he was excited to do it. Here's a fascinating thing, though. When they talk about the history of Meatloaf, they seem to miss 1975 in 1974. And they never mentioned that his first public thing was singing on my records. And he did an unbelievable job. And he and I were dear friends throughout that era. So there's another perfect example of the quality of work ethic and dedication and talent that I've been so surrounded with all my life. Meatloaf was a positive asset to our soundtrack of life.
Hey, Ted, I always wanted to ask you about this. So a lot of what we've been talking about with your music, and even we did our respective top 6 Nugent songs before you came on, which was incredibly difficult because your catalog is so vast. But there's a part of your catalog that I think gets a little bit overlooked, and that's the 80s period, because we all know for artists from the 70s, when the 80s rolled around, MTV became a thing, a lot of artists had a hard time adjusting to that. And a lot of artists struggled with the visual. But I love the stuff you did, like Little Miss Dangerous and the Penetrator album with Tied Up in Love, which was a great song on there too. So I think that period of your catalog gets a little bit overlooked. How do you feel about that period? And how did you feel adjusting to this new thing called MTV and trying to adapt to all these, new young bands at the time that, were dressing up looking like they looked?
Well, number one, Eddie, thank you. Thank you for referencing that, because there's so much about my career that is just fascinating.
We need a documentary, Ted.
Yeah.
We need a definitive
We
Ted
have a
documentary.
whole film crew going on this tour.
Good.
We have a whole film crew going to document all this insanity. Well, here Sadie's angry. What's Sadie?
She just heard you were going on tour.
Yeah.
What's Sadie? Are you angry? Well, come in. Come and see me.
This is why Ted's not touring anymore, because of that dog right there.
Yeah.
That's my girlfriend. What? Well, I'm sorry. Maybe you're Little Miss Dangerous.
Don't forget, if you can't lick them, lick them. That's another classic from the 80s.
All right, enough already. Go lay down. Go bite a duck or something. Good girl. All I can tell you is Derek called me one night in 1984 from LA, and he said, "God damn it, I just heard this song on the radio on your new record called Little Miss Dangerous. That's the best thing you've ever done. That's the most outrageous, grinding, sexy, pulsating song." And I said, "You might be right." I couldn't be more proud of. That's a Fender 6-string bass that I played on that, and it's that. My girls can't stand it, and I can't stand them. Yes, it's powerful chapter in my musical career, but you use the word adapt. I'm not real good at adapting. And let's talk about how sexy the Little Miss Dangerous record is. I have a song called Pussy Whipped. I am an authority on that. I was so shall we say, flexible for the female population that they instead of just being an animal making music, I would take the recommendations of my girlfriends, which sometimes it pans out, sometimes it doesn't. So some of those songs are really powerful. Plus, I've always had a great team. Once again, the drummers, Torpy and Dave Amato, and the guys that worked on those records with me. I'm very, very proud of them. But I don't think the industry was adapting. I think the industry was going with trendiness and fashion and looks instead of grunt and grind, that I was still addicted to that rhythm and blues pulsation. So I was constantly bombarded by the record companies to change and do different stuff. What Brian Howe did on Tied Up in Love, what an amazing voice. What a great guy. We lost him a couple years ago. So I am such a primal, instinctive guy. I don't listen to directions very well unless you're like really sexy, skinny girl. And in those days, I didn't listen to the record company. But remember, I've told all you guys this before. The record company in 1974 said I shouldn't record Stranglehold because it's too long. Nobody listens to guitar solos, and it didn't have a chorus. So I broke all those rules, and Stranglehold is the foundational grindmaster song of all times, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, of course.
So
Yes.
we played that song as we felt it. They thought we should edit it, and I said, if you edit it, I'll shoot you. Don't edit it.
Thus
because
the 8-minute single.
I consider my compositions sacred. That's my statement.
Yeah.
I'm not. They tried to make me change lyrics, and I said, hang on. If you want to change lyrics, I recommend you write a song, and you can change those lyrics. This is my statement. I believe this stuff. Whether it's a funny song like Wango Tango, which I really believe, or it's a Fred Bear tribute to a fallen hero, or it's a Stranglehold song defying the industry. Here I come again, and I'll be like a dog in heat. You tells me by the clamor I'd like to tear up the street. I've been smoking for so long, you know I'm here to stay. I got you in a stranglehold, motherfucker. Get the fuck out of my way. So I stuck to my guns, literally and figuratively. And that era, I still am very, very proud of those songs. I hear those songs on Michigan radio a lot. And I think it's really, in fact, if you go to my Facebook, people are mentioning some of the deep cuts from those more obscure years. And again, the musicianship, the sense of gratification coming out of a studio, working up a sweat and getting tight and practicing and focusing on the integrity and the authority of the compositions and the sounds of the instruments. It's quite an adventure. But all my teammates have always been dedicated. Jason's drums are the best sounding drums in the world. Johnny Big's bass is the biggest throttling, grinding, earth tone bass. My Birdland is just a fiery, bright, rich, thick, heavy sound. So the dedication we put into those songs that were maybe not the biggest hits, they're part of 40 million records sold, and I'm really proud of them.
Hey, Ted, we only got a couple minutes here before we have to wrap up, and everybody can hear this incredible catalog and see Ted on this tour about to begin. But the good news is he's not done, and Ted will still be out there bringing it for a while longer. But we do a segment to close the show called This or That, where we pit two albums against each other and we argue about which is the better record. And we're doing two of your records, so if you'll indulge us and chime in, we would appreciate that. So let's do it right now. This versus that here on this week's That Rocks, and we're pitting two classic 70s Nugent albums against each other, the self-titled debut and the other all-time classic, Cat Scratch Fever. Jim, you want to start?
Oh, man, this is,
That's impossible!
It is. It really is.
That's why we do it.
The last couple of days, I've just been listening to the albums back from front to back, just going over every song, and I just got to give the debut a tinge. It wins by a little. If the debu's a 10, Cat Scratch Fever's a 9.5. I got to give it to the debut.
All right,
Don,
you going next?
Yeah, I think Jim, I'm right with you on that, man. It's by a half a beat. The debut is just from top to bottom. It's almost a greatest hits album at this point. There's nothing, not a bad note from beginning to end.
Wow.
I love the deep cuts on Cat Scratch Fever, but for Stranglehold alone, opening the album, you got to go with the debut, Ted Nugent.
Just homebound on Cat Scratch Fever. It just that instrumental is just.
This is what Jim starts doing forever. He starts arguing against his own pick.
I know. I'm sorry.
Here he goes, arguing with himself.
I'm sticking with the debut. Eddie, what's your pick?
I'm going to make it a clean sweep, but by a hair on Ted's head right there is the first album, because it was the first album. Like, it set the whole, obviously coming off Amboy Dukes, but it set the whole thing for the Nugent solo experience. Look, in my top 6 Nugent songs, I had 2 from Cat Scratch Fever, but I also had 2 from this album. But when you made the point about it's almost a greatest hits record in and of itself, look at the opening: Stranglehold, Stormtroopin', Hey Baby, Just What the Doctor Ordered, Snakeskin Cowboys, Motor City Madhouse. Are you kidding me? It just goes on and on and on. And I got it. Not to say Cat Scratch isn't like that, but I'm giving it to the debut by a hair. Ted, you make the final verdict here.
There's no way in hell I can pick one over the other. But I understand the the red hair difference of the debut. We were younger. We were more uppity. Not that I'm not dangerously uppity in my old age, but there was a fervor, and we can trace back some of your favorite artists to their first albums because there's an electricity, especially coming out of all the Amboy Dukes where we had modest success with those records. And I tried to compromise a little bit for record company. And this time I put my foot down and going, we're doing this. This is how this sounds. This is how this goes. This is the arrangement. This is what we do. So there was a little bit more of a flaming middle finger on the first debut album, but almost imperceptible because, like you said, I can listen to the Cat Scratch. We play a lot off the Cat Scratch. We play a lot off Weekend Warriors. We play a lot off the first album. A lot of people have said we should go on the road and play the whole first album, including You Make Me Feel Right at Home, which is a jazz song, which again is a great, great piece of music. And the guy that's Cliff Davies, Rob Grange, Derek St. Holmes, we were a bunch of roustabout, uppity, defiant, high energy, sex animals. And I think that saturated that first record, maybe a little greasier than the Cat Scratch Fever. So I'm not going to pick one over the other, but I think I just made the case why I love them both so much.
Hey, Ted, real quick, which one of those two sold more?
I think Cat Scratch Fever sold more. Now, I understand somebody told me, I don't know how it works, but streaming or downloads, that Stranglehold is close to 1 million. I mean, a billion, not a million.
A billion.
A billion. And the song, I might have mentioned the movie Invincible, one of the most amazing applications of that song's spirit. And the way they edited it, normally I would kneecap a guy for editing my songs, but the way they edited Stranglehold in the movie Invincible, where Mark, the famous actor, Mark Wahlberg is that who that is?
Yeah.
I think
I've not seen the movie. I don't know.
Yeah. An artist couldn't dream of a better use. And I know the movie Rockstar Stranglehold was during the orgy, which is obvious as hell. But the way they applied it to the invincible Philadelphia Eagles football team overcoming odds and overcoming complications. If you haven't seen the Invincible movie, the way they used Stranglehold, it was absolutely brilliant. By the way, Mark Wahlberg, I don't know if he made the decision, but there's 4 of his movies where Stranglehold is in it, and they've all been done really, really well.
Yeah. And I just saw Jared James Nichols recently, and at the end of the show, he just started playing the riff from Stranglehold, and he stopped, and the whole crowd went ape shit. And he turned to the band. He goes, "We got to play it now," because everybody was going nuts. And I know you've heard him do it as well. And I think he really did.
And he looks like Ted. He looks like Ted on the cover of the first record, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah.
You know, Toby Keith plays Stranglehold every night. Kid Rock and Hank Jr. play Cat Scratch Fever every night. So
Pantera covered Cat Scratch Fever.
Yes, they play Cat Scratch Fever, and the Ramones did Journey to the Center of Their Mind, and a couple other bands did something. Yeah, I'm honored. I'm really good expressing myself, but I'm helpless to convey my sense of happiness and gratification. What my music, what people express to me everywhere I go, what my music means to them, it's out of body. The music they claim that my music has saved their lives. It brought their families together. They got their first piece ass and their second piece ass.
Yes.
Hey,
Ted,
we gotta wrap up.
I gotta
man.
ask him one more quick question, Ted. I hate to put you on the spot, even though I'm not putting you on the spot, because I know what your answer is going to be. Is Double Live Gonzo the greatest live album of all time?
Without question. It is such a firestorm. And I know there's a lot of great ones out there, and I salute them all. But for piss and vinegar and flame-throwing musicianship and the tightness and the defiance and the middle fingers on fire, there's not even a close second.
And it's really live, right? Unlike most 70s records, it's actually live.
Yes, the only overdub was there was a technical complication with Rob's bass on "Baby Please Don't Go" down in San Antonio. Suck my bonio. It's so funny. If you listen closely to my screaming at the end. So I literally, in emergency, they said there's something wrong with. Oh, it's the bass. There was a short, and it was coming in and out. So in a quick moment, I grabbed a Fender P bass and I overdubbed the entire bass part on "Baby Please Don't Go" on the Double Live Gonzo album. But that's the only overdub that exists.
Yeah, you can feel it because it's raw. It's that album and Aerosmith Bootleg are the only true live records because they're raw and it sounds like it sounded like when you were in the room seeing the bands back then, which is why I think one of the reasons makes them so great. Ted, thank you for the time. Good luck on the tour. Man, we can't thank you enough for being a friend and being a guest on the show. And you'll be seeing all of our mugs out there at one of those tour dates coming up.
Yeah,
It's always good to spend time with people that really appreciate the music, love the music. I love you guys, Don, Jim, Eddie. You guys represent all music lovers every time you open your mouth because you look deep into the soul of the music, the musicians, the dedication, where it comes from. So really, I salute you guys. I use the word blood brothers, the Native American term for people who are with each other and are there for each other. And we're musical blood brothers, and that's the ultimate connection, I think.
I appreciate
thank you, man.
that, Ted.
We feel
Thank
the same way. We appreciate it very much. Thanks for joining us today, man. Good luck on the tour. Travel safe.
Yeah, thanks. Godspeed, man. Live it up.
Thanks.
See you in
See you,
Jersey.
Ted.
So wait, quick. I got some quick Ted plugs here. The Adios Mofo 2023 tour starts on Florida, July 12th. The Ted Nugent Spirit Campfire podcast streams Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern on Real America's Voice, and the Nightly Nuge streams daily on Facebook. And the award-winning Ted Nugent Spirit of the Wild television show is the most watched series on the Pursuit channel. For all things Ted Nugent, go to tednugent.com.
All right.
Beautiful.
Well, that was awesome.
was
It's always
amazing.
fun to talk to Ted.
Sorry
And like
to
I
interrupt.
said-
Can I interrupt real quick? I know we don't have time for chats, but this is one I wanted to address because they're talking about the joining memberships. So on iPhones, you cannot join from your phone. You will have to do it from the browser on your computer. That's an Apple thing.
Okay.
So
Thank you,
I just wanted
Chopper.
to address that. Yeah.
Thank
thanks,
you,
Chopper.
Chopper. Thanks for letting us know. But again, summing up like what I said at the top of the show, I think in a lot of ways, Ted's music is unfortunately tragically overlooked and overshadowed. And look, I mean, Ted has a lot of other interests, the hunting stuff, whatever it may be, family, political,
Charity.
whatever. And to each his own on all of that is my opinion. But I think sometimes people forget that Ted has this incredible catalog of music and is such a music historian. And I love talking to him about music because the many times I've interviewed him, he's also educated me because he knows the early R&B stuff. He knows the true roots of the music. Obviously, we couldn't get in all of that here, but wherever you land on Ted, know that musically, he's the real deal, man. He really is. And always great talking rock music with him.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll check me out in Columbus, Ohio, July 15th. I'll be at the Attic Comedy Club. And July 18th, I'll be at the Field Comedy Club in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. All dates on jimflorentine.com.
All right.
Donnie Book,
And-
anything?
Yeah, I'll let's see. July 26, 27, Uncle Vinny's Comedy Club, Point Pleasant, New Jersey. Come on down to the shore for some laughs.
Next appearance from me will be July 28th in Houston, hosting Tom Kiefer, John Karabi at Rise Rooftop. And then July 29th, Canyon Club, Agora Hills, hosting Chevy Metal for my good friend Brent Woods. It's a tribute to Taylor Hawkins. Taylor's son Shane is going to play drums that night. The show's already sold out, raising money for an animal shelter. So 29th in Agora Hills, California, 28th in Houston. And also, if you go to my site, eddietrunk.com, brand new merch store, check out the merch available. Just hit the merch tab at the top. Couple new T-shirts up there. Appreciate you guys representing.
And,
All right.
and any of our club members, we'll see you guys in a couple minutes over there. We're an extension of the show. We'll do another 20, 30 minutes. You can ask us questions. So if you're not a member, join. We'll start the show up in about 2 or 3 minutes.
All right, we'll see you the members. Otherwise, we'll see you next Wednesday at 7 Eastern live with Sammy Hagar.
Yep.